I'm making a PS1 style survival horror game called The Pale. This is the first devlog of the project and QA from the recent demo launch over on itch.io. So the first part of this video is pretty spoilers free, but then towards the end I spoil the entire demo. So it's in the description, go download it and play it, then come back and watch the rest. I know I wanted to use the PS1 aesthetic, but I also wanted to use some visuals the PS1 could never support. So this look is really just PS1 inspired. To help get this look, I use the PSX Effects shader pack from Triple Axis that supports unlit materials. Then to make my assets, I made some low poly models in Blender and textured them using 3 images that I threw together, keeping the texture size under 256 and disabling any texture filtering. Then in-game I locked the resolution to 320 by 240, and that's basically it. I didn't use any vertex shading for the lighting because I love the way that real-time flashlights look when done right, and I also didn't recreate the offline mapping or lock the frame rate because I think it just looks bad. Meet Arthur. He's an unemployed deadbeat dad who's just blagged his way through an interview to become the new lighthouse keeper on the Pale. I made his model using detached limbs, which is common to really old PS1 titles. Later, the studios would use deformed models, but I like the more janky robotic look that Arthur's got. Then I created a bunch of animations and wrote a simple tank controller setup. Why tank controls? Tank controls are a great fit for fixed camera angles. When you change the camera and it flips the position of the camera relative to the player, tank controls ensure that you go in the same direction. If you don't use tank controls, the character can sometimes get spun around. Next, I created a third-person camera for when the player is free roaming, and then fixed camera angles for whenever I thought it made sense or wanted to show the player something cool. The game is set on the Pale. It's an abandoned island off the coast of Maine near Portland. No one's lived there for 15 years, save for one lighthouse keeper, who you as the player are going to replace. The lore of the world is total spoilers, so I won't say anything more here, but I really wanted to have layered storytelling in my game. Layered storytelling is what Half-Life uses, where you can look at it on one level as a guy with a crowbar killing zombies and aliens going down a corridor. But when you start paying attention, you get a glimpse into an intergalactic alien civilization with its own internal military coup and then enslaved alien races trying to escape through border worlds. And from the looks of the current Let's Plays that I've got, it seems I've got a good mix of people who turn over every single rock, these are the archaeologists, and then people who speedrun and just ignore everything. I want the storytelling to technically work with both levels of play. The Pale is foggy and rainy. I used Unity's built-in particle system to achieve both of these effects. There's actually many different fog systems that turn on and off by the player running through various triggers. So I use a simple kill fog and start new pre-warmed fog method that triggers on camera change, so you as the player can't tell when the fog completely changes direction. The rain itself is a child of the player, but the rain particles don't inherit any velocity from player movement, so the rain falls straight down. I also added some noise to the rain to simulate wind, and added in some ground splashes. The lightning is created using different directional lights on a random timer. Each time they're triggered, a random number of flashes will play, and it will pick from one of 4 colours. When I was writing the Lightning Manager, we happened to have a crazy thunderstorm here, so I just watched that for ages and tried to make the flash length, intensity and colours in-game match what I saw outside. This is your big spoiler warning. I'm going to spoil the entire end of the demo next. If you haven't played it, go to the link below and I'll see you in about an hour. Meet. No, seriously, what these guys are really called is complete spoilers, and I won't mention it in here. I modeled them in Blender and created their textures using anatomical muscle models and 3 dental pictures I found online. Added animations and then voice acted them by holding my head upside down with water in my mouth trying to breathe. Then I threw them into Unity as nav mesh agents and wrote a simple state machine to govern their behaviours, destination point, attack animations and death animations. They have basically 2 attack states they'll switch between based on their aggression, aggressive or passive. When aggressive, they'll have double their attack and recovery speeds. And then for their movement, I wanted them to be fast, but then slow down when they get to the player, similar to Resi 4. This ensures that they're not frustrating to fight, but they're not boring to be chased by. Specifically for the chase sequence, I wanted it to be really intense, but not actually difficult for the player. So to keep them on your heels as one big horde, rather than running in a long line behind you, I made it so that if they fall behind too far, they get a huge speed boost to catch up with the group before slowing down to a normal run. I call this the skinless Sonic racing method. I didn't want to have a normal health bar in the game, so I set up some fog in the inventory screen with different coloured lights based on your health. Amber and red mean heal now, and white means you've got over 70% health. For healing items, the Pale was a popular hiking spot when it wasn't so run down, so I figure hikers would have left things like granola bars around. So I invented a brand called Bear Crunch Bar. My girlfriend designed the logo for the brand and the texture. I'm planning to add some more snacks in the Bear Crunch range in the future. There are 2 big set pieces in the demo, one for the chain and one for the collapsing bridge. Both of these are simple Blender models using armatures to deform them with animations. I couldn't quite figure out how to animate a path for the chain to follow, so it's just all animated by hand. Then I added camera shake and used a bunch of free distorted metal scraping sounds to create this lovely noise. What's up with Sharon's accent? Is she a pirate? She's speaking in a dialect that I made up. She's a native of the Pale. The lore is that the Pale is far away enough from the mainland that the Scottish and Irish settlers there were pretty isolated, and that's why they developed a unique dialect. It's inspired by the real-life Ocracoke Rogue or the Hoy Toyda accent from North Carolina.
They thought I was from overseas somewhere. They didn't think, they wanted to know if I was American. I said, yeah. So they said you talk funny, said you don't talk like we do. Well, they didn't talk like I did either.
What is that chain attached to? The chain is attached to a massive spoiler. Well, I add new control options or a first-person camera. I'm going to add remapping options into the full release just for accessibility, but the resolution, tank controls, and fixed cameras are staying. When will the game be out? 2023. How long will the full game be? You've seen about 20% of the game in the demo. Some people finish it in 30 minutes, some take an hour, so between 3 and 5 hours. Will the game be on Steam? Yes. By the time this video goes up, the game should already be on Steam. You can download the free demo there, and you can also add it as a wishlist item, so that when it's ready, you'll be notified. If you want to follow the game's development, the Twitters and the Discords are in the description. Okay, thanks, bye.